And hello, everybody. You're live. It's Monday night. What is the date today? November 26th, Monday night. And it's good to be here this week. If you have any questions for the show, you can send them to SherryTalkRadio at yahoo.com. I'll try to get into questions tonight. I know some of you sent them during the week. I was reading them over. A couple things tonight. Probably try to just pick up where I left off last week. I'm sitting here and I'm like, what am I talking about tonight? I have no idea. So I just asked the Lord to be His mouthpiece and have Him say what He wants me to say. Because that's typically how it usually goes. I typically don't have any real reason or idea of what I'm going to talk about. Just whatever He brings to my mind. I know lately, I know some of you out there, you Oregon Warriors, you're just under so many attacks, and I know I'm under the same attacks. You know, it almost seems like for the past month, they're just unrelenting. And when one attack stops, the next one starts. And so it's just been unrelenting. And I told my friend today, I was saying, you know, you can tell how really effective we are because these attacks just are getting more and more vicious. They're not stopping. They're not letting up. And you know what? It just tells me how effective we are. You know, that's how we're damaging. We are damaging Satan's kingdom. And he's pulling out all the stops, just letting it go to unleash against the Lord's people. Because he knows that when he comes to earth, it's not going to be the rose of petals ride. He knows there's going to be a fight. And so, you know, it makes him antsy, aggravates him, makes me laugh. You know, we have but one life to live on this earth, and who are we going to live it for? You know, if you live it for yourself, then Satan owns you on default. And if you give it to the Lord, then give it to the Lord. You know, you're either His or you're not. You know, get out of the fence-sitting stuff. So many people just sit on the fence and, oh, I love the Lord and everything, but when it really comes down to it, if you were going to be hauled off tomorrow and killed because of things you've done for the Lord or you want to do for the Lord, or, you know, that's where the metal hits the road there, folks, because are you willing to die for your love for the Lord, for Him? Are you willing to die for that? And once you can say yes, then there's no inhibitions anymore. There's no worries. There's no inhibitions. You're just who you are in Him. It's liberating. It is so liberating. You know, you can spend all of your time worrying about death. And maybe not for yourself. Maybe you're worried about your children if you die, or the circumstances around you. But you know what? When you put all that in the Lord's hands and say, you take it, I'm going to put my kids in your hands so I can be the warrior I'm meant to be. I can be the believer I'm meant to be. I can be who I'm supposed to be in you. I'm giving you all that, and I'm just going to be who you want me to be. It is so liberating to just do that. Because you can spend every day worrying about becoming a big mouth on the internet or for the Lord in any way, shape, or form, and repercussions about that. Or you can just give it to the Lord and do it full force without worries. You know, I have no worries. You know, and it's liberating. It's so liberating because I don't worry about those things anymore because the Lord has those in His hands. You know, anything happens to me, the Lord will take care of my children. And so I'm not going to be an Indian giver. I'm not going to say, okay, I'm taking my kids back because, you know what, I would be wasting time. It would just be such a waste of my time, especially of every day the last 10 years, if I was worried about, well, if I speak up, they'll take me and throw me in prison or kill me and come after me, and then my kids will be left. And so then you become ineffective. That's how Satan uses you to beat you down and keep you grounded and ineffective for the Lord, because he lets your worries get a hold of you. Then you start getting inhibited about things because you're worrying. And that's one of the things that is just so liberating, is to get rid of those worries, give them all to the Lord, and just proceed with what He leads you to do for Him. You know, and it's just so liberating. And so I know some of you need to hear that tonight. You know, people are worried about so many different things, and you know what? They haven't taken me down yet. They have tried, and it's been one humorous ride after the other to see them. And I've suffered, you know. Some of these attacks have been hurtful ones where I've suffered in one way or another. But it's in the Lord's hands. It's in the Lord's hands. And eventually, we're all going to die. I mean, I could go out tomorrow and get run over by an old lady. I mean, or an old man that's blinded in one eye, driving with one arm, one leg. I mean, you could die tomorrow. You could die tonight. And so what have you done with your life on earth and all that time? And most of you Christians are out there, and you're worrying. You become worrywarts. And so I encourage you to just give your worries to the Lord and get over them. And don't be an Indian giver. Just give them to Him. Walk away from those worries. And just be who He wants you to be, because it is liberating. It's liberating. You know, so many people all these years scream about Christmas season and you know, taking Christ out of Christmas, and oh, how awful that is. And you hear all these churches go on and on about family trees and Christmas trees, and somebody making a mistake, Lowe's making a mistake in their Christmas ad, calling them family trees. I'll tell you what, it's completely liberating. It's giving up the entire holiday itself. Another thing that's completely liberating is taking Christ completely out of Christmas, because it's not His birthday. They're celebrating Mithra. It's nothing but a big commercial holiday, economic booster for this country. They're already starting on the numbers and the economics, and you know, they count on these holidays to boost the economy every year. And so, if, you know, it's one of the things I started praying about several years ago about what to do with this holiday, and I had to do it in stages because I couldn't just, you know, I didn't want to just up and take it away from my kids all in one night. Take Christ out of it. He's not a part of it, so just take Him out completely. Say, this is a man-made holiday. It's a man-made tradition. And take Him completely out. And that's even liberating. It was so liberating just to take Him out of it. I thought I would feel awful, but no, it was completely liberating. Just to completely take Him out of that holiday. Don't even make Him a part of it. You know, you recognize, oh, this is a man's tradition. We all, you know, many people celebrate Thanksgiving. That's a man-made tradition. And Halloween. Totally don't celebrate that one. That's Satan's holiday. And then there's Easter, and how could anybody celebrate Easter? I just have no idea. And they, you know, how do you usually celebrate Easter with ham? Pork. The most unclean animal out of all the animals probably on the earth today is the pig. And you celebrate Easter with a ham. And so, you know, people need to revise the ways they think, because I know that I hear from so many people about the 7 feasts of the Lord. And what I find fascinating, too, is that the more and more, every week by week, I encourage people to pray for the truth in all things. I don't ask you what to pray for in specific or anything. I just encourage you to pray, to ask Him for the truth in all things. And when people do that, one of the most dominant things I've seen, because He did it with me, so why would He be different with anybody else, is He will lead you right into the feast. He will lead you right in to celebrating the feasts of the Lord. And so I find that fascinating, because just, you know, when you grow up in churchdom and all you hear about is the Old Testament's dead and now we have the New Testament, and then when you start praying for truth, and the first thing the Lord does is lead you into celebrating His feasts. And you know, it's been years now, and I finally have Passover down. I had that one down pretty good. Feast of Unleavened Bread, how to celebrate, what to do, things like that. Some of the other ones are a little bit more difficult because I just don't know what to do. There's you know, the Feast of Tabernacles, and we're supposed to build this shelter out in the backyard, and you know, some of it's just you don't know how to relate it to modern day. You know, especially with people who live in apartments, townhomes. You know, some of these feasts that if we had some real leadership amongst His people today, that men that could stand up, women that could stand up and really teach these festivals and how they relate to today and how to celebrate them in today's modern age. That would be a real blessing, you know, and I do what I can. I have a website, backtoyahweh.com, and I try to keep people informed on when the feasts are and some of the things that you can do to celebrate the feasts. I'm in no way an expert, but it's there to help. You know, I've always said, as the Lord teaches me, I teach His people, and I can just do the best that I can. I'm not the expert, definitely, in feasts, but I can point you the way, sometimes to links on the websites, to various websites, that can give you some information. And even just tackling times and dates, because calendars have been changed and rearranged, and, you know, the Lord will look at the intent. You know, so you celebrated the Feast of Passover on the wrong day, you started on the wrong day, or some of these feasts on the wrong days and stuff. He knows you're trying. You know, He